All right, so I got a couple stories here. They're absolutely insane that Netanyahu definitely does not want you to see. Israel does not want you to see these stories. So let's start with this one in The Intercept. Lauren Boebert's measure received no discussion when it was approved by the House on a voice vote as part of a package of amendments to the budget bill Tuesday. The House just passed a bill punishing politically motivated boycotts of Israel. Far-right Representative Lauren Boebert added an amendment to the Pentagon budget that targets the BDS movement against Israel. So you cannot get a contract with the government, I believe it's the Pentagon in particular, if you're critical of Israel, if you support a boycott of Israel. This was slipped in after the assassination of Charlie Kirk when nobody was paying attention. This is one of the things that got through. So look at this. House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Brian Mast, who is an Israel-only former IDF soldier, has sponsored a bill to give Secretary Rubio the ability to strip Americans of their U.S. passport if they criticize Israel. From The Intercept, new bill would give Marco Rubio thought police power to revoke U.S. passports. So they already did something like this for, remember Rumeysa Ozturk, who wrote an op-ed that was critical of Israel, and they basically tried to take away her visa. Marco Rubio wants the ability to be able to say, if you support BDS, if you criticize Israel, we have the right to now no longer allow you to leave the country. We can take your passport away from you. This is all happening at the same time. It's all happening at the same time. Right, immediately after Charlie Kirk was killed, the whole world is focused on that. You get all these super sketchy Israel lobby-supported bills that, are... This one was just proposed. The other one was passed. It was actually passed. Then I got to give you this. Rutger Bregman says the following. Devastating new investigation by Dutch newspaper De Volkskrant. 15 international doctors report that at least 114 Palestinian children with single gunshot wounds to the head and chest. Injuries, forensic experts say, are consistent with aimed fire. So they did a detailed, deep dive investigation. And they found 15 doctors are now risking everything to come forward and say, we have 114 specific examples of Palestinian kids being shot in the head. So let me walk you through it. I'm going to warn you in advance, this stuff is ugly. You might want to blur out some of the more extreme gore here because we're risking, if I just show it all, what we're risking is it'll get like age restricted. We don't want that. We want as many people to see this as possible. So maybe, blur out some of the stuff here. But look at this. 2 independent forensic pathologists asked to review images and x-rays said the injuries were consistent with bullets, not shrapnel, and likely distant shots to the head and neck with military ammunition. There's one little girl, she looks to me to be about maybe 8 years old, and basically her head nearly blown off. Quote, in all likelihood, these are distant shots aimed at the head and or neck with military ammunition, says forensic pathologist Wim van de Voorde, emeritus professor at the University of Leuven. It's another... looks to me to be like maybe a 12-year-old who was shot in the neck here. And you could see the bullet on the right in the x-ray that is lodged in there. Forensic pathologist Frank van de Goot, on the x-rays, I see children's heads with bullets inside. The bullets must have lots of energy on the way, must have lost a lot of energy on the way because children have thinner skulls than adults, and otherwise they would have gone straight through. So these children were shot from long range. So in other words, the IDF soldiers have this like game that they play from a distance, maybe 300, 400 yards or more, and they shoot at these kids and they hit them. And since it was from so far away, the bullets get stuck in their heads. They get stuck. A former Dutch army commander, Mart de Kroof, is quoted saying the chance of 100 plus cases being accidental is nil, given the concentration of wounds to the head and heart versus overall body surface. Beyond gunshots, 9 doctors describe patients with injuries from tiny cube cylinder metal fragments causing catastrophic internal damage. One surgeon says he recovered fragments. He provided recovered fragments to the ICC for analysis. This girl was hit by metal fragments, possibly from fragmentation of weapons. The metal entered her nose and went straight through her head. She did not survive, so this girl died from internal bleeding. Multiple doctors recount eyewitnesses attributing fire to IDF snipers or armed drones. The IDF declined to answer questions on shooting at children and says it does not possess or use fragmentation weapons. The doctors face an impossible choice: speak out about what they witnessed and risk being barred from ever returning to Gaza, according to the UN. Since March 2025, Israel has denied entry to 100 plus foreign health workers, usually without explanation, because those foreign health workers come back and explain to people what they saw. They explain how innocent people were getting their legs shot off on a daily basis and their arms shot off on a daily basis and their heads shot off on a daily basis. They explain how the IDF plays these sick, sadistic games. They explain how when people are going to, aid distribution sites, all of a sudden, whenever people would go to aid distribution sites, they'd get a swell of like 50 new cases of people being injured or killed because the IDF uses that as an opportunity to do fucking target practice and take out these innocent people. That's why they weren't allowed back in, because they tell the truth after they go there. To build the investigation, the Volksfront journalists talked for hours with the international doctors. They shared hundreds of photos, x-rays, medical notes, and diary entries. This photo is a boy who was shot in the head. He didn't survive. Anesthesiologist and intensivist Alia Katan recounts the case of a little girl brought in by her mother. She was not yet 2 years old, very pale, looked perfect, so I initially thought she had internal bleeding. I saw that she was no longer alive, but her mother was screaming in anguish. She had spent years trying to have a child. We started CPR and I intubated her. I wanted her mother to see that I had tried everything. We often do that with small children. While I was doing this, somebody handed me the scan, and then I saw it, a bullet in her head. I saw the blood, a perfect shot to the temple. I took a photo from the foot of the bed. It's only one of the few photos I made in Gaza, but I was so shocked, I thought, otherwise no one will believe me. And I don't know, but this kid looks like a 5-year-old maybe that was shot in the head on purpose, dead. The American anesthesiologist and intensivist Alia Khan, 38, said, "What I regret most is not documenting more. But I was treating patients. It just didn't occur to me at the time. I wish someone had told me beforehand that I should also act like a journalist." Because all this stuff is going to be important for a genocide case. All this stuff is going to be important for that. Hey, here's pictures, here's videos, here's eyewitness testimony. And a lot of the people who were the heroes who were there saving lives as nurses and doctors, they were just doing their jobs, and it didn't occur to them to take pictures and videos, but some people did. Some people did, and some people are coming forward and speaking out. Journalism like this, patient, corroborated, unflinching, is essential. Credit to Volksfront's reporting team, editors, designers, and the clinicians who documented what they could under the most horrific conditions. And so the full article is here. You guys can read the full article. There's an English version here as well. Shout out to them for doing this report. But this is the nature of what's actually happening. And this is just, one group of doctors. There's 15 international doctors. I mean, there's probably hundreds of doctors, thousands of doctors who've been in there, and they all have stories very similar to this. When you do the math on it, you're probably talking about thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of absolute fucking horror stories of innocent people being targeted on purpose because the IDF does not view them as people. They view them as animals. They view them as cockroaches. They view them as less than. They view them as something to be totally eliminated and exterminated from the earth, which is exactly what they're doing. But the truth needs to get out. The truth needs to get out, and people need to realize what the Israeli government is, what they're doing, what they believe, and this helps build that case. I got more for you. A video from today shows a shocking moment. Israeli snipers opened fire on unarmed aid seekers who were simply carrying boxes of humanitarian aid and leaving the area near the Zikim aid crossing in North Gaza. In the footage, one person is shot in the leg, another drops their box after being hit, and a third is shot in the head. You can clearly see a bullet striking the ground just before another hits someone. So this was September 12th. I'm going to play the video here for you. But you now have IDF soldiers who are literally just casually admitting that, yeah, we shoot at them when they're at the aid sites. There's this invisible line that they don't know is there. They cross that line. We shoot them. We kill them. You have them saying it. They're saying it. You have the Guardian piece on the family in Gaza that was killed. And you have one was from like Munich or something. And another one was from Chicago. And the guy explains how like, yeah, I shot this guy. And then his brother tried to go save him. And I shot him too and killed him. And then that same guy, they also was cited in other pieces of journalism saying, oh, the anti-Semitism on college campuses is out of control. You're admitting to be a genocidal murderer who killed innocent people in Gaza, and then you're whining about anti-Semitism on college campuses when you come back here. My dude, you should be in prison for life. It's over. You should be locked up for good. They should lock you up and throw away the key. But now you have IDF soldiers just admitting it. Yeah, that's what we do. We kill people at the aid sites. That's what we do. We have the article that came out the other day. The GHF, Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, or as that other article said, I believe it was Responsible Statecraft, it's basically a CIA Mossad front. It's not actually about humanitarian aid. They hired for their security a biker gang from the U.S. called the Infidels, about 40 of them. The whole thing is they're anti-Muslim. They were holding up signs that said, make Gaza great again, and, Gaza Mar-a-Lago here. This is who's there. This is a bloodbath, what we're witnessing here. This is hell on earth. This is the purposeful elimination of all these innocent people. So I'll warn you in advance, but here's at an aid site, people getting aid, just trying to survive, and they get shot.
هاي كمان واحد يا ولدي.
هاي وقع هاي وقع يما. يا ولدي جنب رجله. وقعوا. هيا.
صيبه في الشرموطه.
هيا وقع.
قام يجري.
هيا
بخدي طقعوا.
ولدي.
طب ليش بيعملوا ايه؟ رمى
الكرتون وشرى. يا ولدي راس على المطرح قتلوا. هاي التين ها.
So are these people a threat? Are these people Hamas? Is this self-defense when they're shooting these innocent people who are starving, who are just getting aid? Now, at the same time in the West Bank, Israeli occupation forces abduct over 1,000 Palestinians, including children, from Tulkarm, I don't know how to pronounce that, and its surroundings in the occupied West Bank. So here's one of the videos. I got some others for you, too. So in the West Bank, now they're starting, too. They want to do a total annexation of the West Bank, and part of that is, let's round up all these innocent people who are in areas that we want to reoccupy. So you see, they're walking here in a line, guys with guns, IDF pointing guns at them. All right, that's one video. Here's another one. West Bank. Remember, guys, there's no Hamas in the West Bank. There's no excuse. There's no Hamas. There's no, oh, we're under attack. No, this is the IDF doing what they want to do, which is ethnically cleanse even the West Bank and take the West Bank over too. They're reoccupying all of Gaza. They're going to steal it, and they want to do the same with the West Bank. Now, all these people are going to be hostages, by the way. Now, are any Western media outlets going to say, free the hostages? Free the hostages? Why'd you kidnap these people? Why'd you abduct these people? No, you're not going to hear it at all. Even though there's thousands of Palestinian hostages being held without trial in Israel, and many of them are being tortured, by the way. I got another one for you. You can see all these hostages being taken in the West Bank. Now, I want to remind you, it was Miriam Adelson, a pro-Israel donor, who gave Trump $100 million in the last election, and it was reported that the quid pro quo for that money is you need to let Israel annex the entire West Bank. And I'll be damned if that's not exactly what we're witnessing here. So Israel today, they're high on their own supply. They think they could do no wrong. They think they'll never get pushback for what they did. And so that's why they're finishing the genocide in Gaza. They're finishing the ethnic cleansing in Gaza. They're going to reoccupy it and steal the land and build casinos and hotels on the beach, just like Trump posting AI videos of golden sculptures of him in Gaza. That's what they actually want to do. And they also want to take the West Bank. They want to take the entire West Bank and also make that part of Israel. They want to create the greater Israel. That's why they're bombing Lebanon. That's why they're bombing Syria and stealing large swaths of Syria. They're all in. Netanyahu brags about bombing 7 different countries at the same time, and at the same time pretends like he's a fucking victim. Pretends like Israel are victims. Not even close. Not even close. And so this is where we're at. Every day it gets worse. Every day it looks more and more like a Nazi project, and you're living through history. And I mean that in the worst way possible. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.